Hey there, everybody. Just wanted to make sure we have everything working now. Um, just wanted to know if y'all are interested in finding out, since you're here, finding out a little bit about how do I get going on my own DayZ server. One of the things you want to know is how do I not, you know, lose my shirt, and at the same time, how do I make sure I get all the requirements I want? And really, the whole thing starts with requirements. So I'm going to talk about and cover things here that really should save you money, a lot of money, or have friends, not enemies, when you invite them to play on your server, and it either screws up or you screw up administering it. So let me just talk a few things about this. First, normally you're going to be with a clan of people or some other people, and you're playing a specific game, and that's probably what you're going to go approach trying to figure out how I rent a server. And rather than just play from your home server, there's a lot of advantages to having a server out on the web that anybody can use anytime, or people could use it just if they have a password or are whitelisted. In other words, their user ID is placed on the server by you saying they can use it. That's part of the set of requirements you need to know ahead of time. How many people do I want to have on the server? Where are they physically located? Because physical location is going to drive how low the ping rate is. If you rent a server in Chicago, you pretty much can cover anybody in the US. But if you rent a server in Frankfurt, Germany, you're going to get 150 to 250 millisecond pings, and it's not going to be very good for you and your friends if you're American players. Or if you play a lot with people from Europe, maybe they get a good ping to a US server that's located in New York, but they don't get good pings or short round trip command time commands and this from their application from a place, say Los Angeles. Los Angeles is pretty far away, so it's really the physical location. The farther away you are from where the person is playing, the more you're going to see them lag out, and sometimes even the connection will be dropped if you set the server to drop certain long connections, which is understandable, of course. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, and I'll show a couple other aspects. But getting your requirements in advance helps drive what vendor you're going to go to, and then you can start doing your searches for vendors that have the game you want in the general location area, like a U.S. server, not just say only servers in Europe. And then you have to decide how important is it for you to be able to get help at that server. You're going to look at having things in place for what happens if their servers are down part of the time. What do they say their uptime usually is? In other words, it's a quality of service issue, and what they agree to do for you can be very important, because I've had servers where it took 3 and 4 days to get an answer on a simple ticket. Some servers, if you pay an extra amount, like say $3, they'll bump your ticket up in the queue. Isn't that splendid? Well, I'm already paying for the server, now I got to pay for extra attention. That can bother you. I can throw money at the problem, I guess. But so basically, how much time is the server going to be up? Are they down 1 day a month? Are they never down? Things like that. So and who's responsible for what? Are they always going to keep everything in place having to do with security and safety, and you're only focused on the application? Do you have to do your own backups? Have they simplified backups and restores for you in case to allow FTP even? Can you go in and kind of get in the guts of the computer? One of my biggest frustrations in setting up a server once was I knew more about Unix and Linux than their admins did, I think, because I determined that they moved my server. They said to enhance its response time, and I thank them for that. But what happened was they moved it and they changed the file permissions on the server that I went to. And when I was trying to add myself in as an admin, it would not let me modify the file, only see it. And it took me almost a week to get them to understand. And I had to go in myself and list all the file permissions and basically write out a long letter and send it to them, say, change these 2 files to this, I'll be able to use my server. And they came back and apologized and gave me some money back for it. So, that's nice enough that they did that. So it's nice to know ahead of time what you have access to. FTP, can you do they have some simplified interfaces to change things quickly? I was pleasantly surprised by one vendor when they changed my whole server out. We did a wipe, and all I had to do was dump everything into a directory and name it like flush this, And as soon as I turned the server back on through my management console, it repopulated the whole server with all new files, and it was all clean and juicy and nice, and I'm very happy about that. But it did keep the same configurations, such as like your admin passwords, your manager passwords, some of these things to control the server, things like that. Sometimes you don't have access to the physical server. You only have access to your small subset of that server that is your world. So, and you don't have to be highly technical with a lot of these servers. You can do it pretty easily, and you can get documentation from wikis and whatnot, obviously, and find out easier how to work things. But that speaks to the technical requirements. Your technical requirements usually are based on how many people you're going to have on the server. Having a lot of people on the server, um, to you, a lot might be a dozen people. It might be 40 people. It might be 64, whatever. So almost all of the various companies price by how many people are going to be using the server or can use the server. And if the server sits empty or has you and 3 people on it most of the time, but it can hold 64 people, you're still paying for a 64 person server. You don't pay when you add 3 or 4 more people. You pay for whatever you set as the max limit on that server, and you got to figure that out ahead of time. So there's a balancing act there of what you're going to pay versus what do you really need. Um, so and another technical requirement might be there's some other things you can do to enhance the speed of the server sometimes, or put it on a some of the providers will give you a higher quality of service, and that goes inside these technical requirements. You don't have to know a lot more beyond that. You don't have to know brands or operating systems or how the managers work. But you should know that if they ever say, well, it's all on you to do something, or it's all going to cost some inordinate amount of money, or they don't really guarantee service except they'll take your message or email and they'll get to you within 48 hours or something like that, you may want to just walk away from that. If there's some things to you that are showstoppers, there are things that you just don't feel are right. You want to get something um, really that fits within your level of service, what you expect, because you're now in the middle and you're providing service to your friends or your clan or other people. So you've got to figure those things out. But there's no better benefit that I see than controlling your own dials. Being able to change all the commands. Like, I've got a Project Zomboid server up right now that I decided that I don't want basically zombies to react to cars. I want them to be, ignore cars. They don't come swarm it. And I also made it so players can't kill other players, just for whatever reasons. But that doesn't stop you from getting some stereo and dropping it outside the door of another person you don't like, and having the zombies react to that. So unless you call them in on them more or less, and so it's not that you can't. You have to be more insidious about you kill the people you don't like. It's not about just walking up and stabbing in the back or hitting them or something because you got a better weapon or getting the drop on them. Nothing I hate more than just you should you're a better player than someone, but they catch you off guard and they kill you, and there's no recourse. And I hate that. That's just me because I'm a big baby. One other thing is, you may start with this server, turn it on, and everything's fine for a while, and then over time, as the server starts becoming more populated, now there's 2 types of servers. There's your virtual server that you're playing on. Typically, there's a one hardware machine that has many virtual servers on it. So your machine, when it first starts out, might be the only one they've got in St. Louis or Chicago or New York or London or whatever. And so you might have a really great experience for 5 or 10 people. And then when you get to 20 or 25 or 30, you get lag city. You get these long turnaround times and broken up pixelated screen and all this nastiness. And you start to think it's you, but actually that's when you should put a trouble ticket in and tell them what you're seeing. And they might go like, I did this recently, and they said, oh yeah, we had put a lot of other servers on there because we had noticed that you didn't have a lot of traffic at first. Well, it was building it up, and once it got popular, all of a sudden, there was a lot of traffic on there. So anyway, but you have to decide, is is this something where I need a different class of machine? Or they, in other words, work with the people and see what they're willing to do for you. Because a lot of times, if you dangle a nice, juicy contract in front of them, and you're being real reasonable with them, you make friends with them. I even had one provider ask me if I'd please come be an admin for them, and I've had enough of that. I like being able to do admin on my own server. I don't want to troubleshoot for a lot of customers because customers are always right, and I prefer being right myself. So another thing. Um, when I look at some of the other things, I look at hopefully I look at some of the things like chat and being able to talk to people on this on about this. If you'd like to ever ring me up on chat, please feel free, and I'm happy to talk to you. You can get a hold of me at Photius on Twitter, and I'm happy to talk with you. And one other thing I was going to say, I was not compensated. I'm not trying to support any single provider. I'm showing an example of a provider here and how they actually have lots and lots of documents that will help you get your server in place. And that's something else you might want to look for is what's their level of help, and do they have YouTube videos and things like that. And that's probably my favorite nice to have, is having good servers and have people who have already implemented a DayZ server or a Rust server or whatever you're putting in, and they'll continue to give you help anyway. So you want to look for that. And if there is no help, or you're putting a game that they don't really care that much about, again, that might be something else to walk away from. So thanks for looking at this, and I really hope that I can provide some more help to some other people in the future. And if any of you ever, like I said, want to reach out, you can always get me on Twitter at the @ and Photius, Photeus. Have a great day.